to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups, technology and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant coming to you live from India's startup capital, Bengaluru. Time to turn the lens on a rather disturbing story coming from the US. It's a story that's really caused top tech CEOs to come out and condemn the Trump administration. We're talking about the Trump administration's recent actions as far as border crossing is concerned. Remember, they recently implemented a zero tolerance policy when it comes to illegal immigrants crossing the border. They said these people will be criminally prosecuted. Now, as a result of this, a lot of children have been separated from their parents at southern borders. In fact, if you look at reports online, if you look at channels in the US, they've been showing images of children as young as 2 years, 3 years, separated from their parents. There are audios of these children available worldwide. This has created a huge outrage in the US. That's the reason why some of US's top tech CEOs, be it Tim Cook of Apple, Satya Nadella of Microsoft, or Sundar Pichai of Google, have come out and publicly condemned this move in a big way. They've called for a more humane approach from the Trump administration. So if you look at what Tim Cook has said, he said that it's heartbreaking to see images and hear the sounds of kids. He's also said that what's happening is inhumane and needs to stop. If you look at what Satya Nadella of Microsoft has said, in fact, he wrote a fairly detailed post on LinkedIn earlier this morning. He said that he's appalled at the aberrant policy of separating children and that the issue touches him both as a parent and an immigrant. He also says the new policy is cruel and abusive and that they are standing for change. Finally, he also clarified that Microsoft is not working with the US government on any project related to separating children at the border. So that's something that Satya Nadella clarified in his LinkedIn post earlier this morning. This seems to find echo with another India-born US CEO, Sundar Pichai, another immigrant who's really living the American dream. The Google CEO also said that he found images of children and families being separated gut-wrenching, and he's urged the government to work together to find a humane way out. Now, we've really shortlisted 3 top CEOs for you. That's Tim Cook, Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai. But a lot more CEOs have been speaking up in the US. Some of the prominent ones include Airbnb. It also includes Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi. Remember, a bulk of the tech CEOs are immigrants who've come to the US, who are living the American dream. So it's also a very emotional issue for them, something that they identify with very closely. On the other hand, President Trump has been pretty defiant so far, and he's blamed Democrats for the existing laws that allow families to really get separated, that allow the separation of children at the border when their parents are detained. Moving on to our next story then, and we tell you about SoftBank, which after raising its $100 billion vision fund last year has been investing right, left and center across the valley. So some of the biggest investments from SoftBank's Masayoshi Son include the likes of WeWork, Uber, India's Ola, Didi and many others. And if that's not enough, Masayoshi Son told shareholders today that he will be spending more time in investing because he wants the SoftBank group to transform from a telecom group to a unicorn hunter. That's how he wants SoftBank to be known now. And he's also said, in the last year, he spent 97% of his time focusing on telecom and 3% on investments. But he said reversing that will lead to faster growth. So SoftBank has already been accused by many critics of creating a bubble-like scenario by throwing so much of money after Valley startups. But I guess more money is going to be coming their way if Masa Son is talking about spending more time investing. Remember, he's raised a humongous, nearly $100 billion vision fund. It's the largest pool of private equity money anywhere in the world. Now, at that shareholder meeting, shareholders also approved the appointment of 3 senior executive vice presidents at SoftBank. one of which includes India-born Rajiv Mishra. In fact, he's been seen as a close contender as far as the race to replace Masayoshi Son is concerned. The last time we spoke about a successor for Masayoshi Son, it was also an India-born executive, Nikesh Arora, but that didn't work out. We'll have to wait and see if Rajiv Mishra has better luck when it comes to replacing Masa Son at SoftBank. But away from SoftBank to an Indian startup that's going international, we're talking about Oyo, the hotel aggregator. Now, Oyo recently forayed into Nepal and Malaysia, but now they've taken a big bet with China. Now, they claim they are already present in 26 Chinese cities across 270 hotels with access to some 11,000 rooms. My colleague Rahul joins me with more details on what this international foray is going to mean. And remember, it's not just Oyo in China. InMobi has also had success in China. And if you look at international businesses, Ola has forayed into Australia in a big way. So Rahul, what's really driving the interest in China?
Chandra, you're right. We've usually seen Chinese companies sort of increase their presence here in India, be it the likes of Alibaba, Xiaomi, among others. It's actually a tough market to crack, so not many Indian players really look at it. In spite of we talking about how close or similar the Indian and Chinese ecosystem really is. But Oyo, remember, they have been betting big on the international plans. As you mentioned, they are present in Malaysia and Nepal. Seems like they have been beefing up their inventory in China for quite some time now, because we're talking about 11,000 rooms and presence in 26 cities. So clearly this has been in the works for quite some time now. Interestingly, remember Oyo was backed by China Lodging Group, which is a premier hotel chain in China. So interestingly, Oyo has said that the expansion in China is without their support, while they'll continue to really look at transfers as far as technology and supply chain is concerned. So while they do have an investor in China, they'd invested about 10 million last year, acquiring 1% in Oyo. Probably they will also help them with the Chinese market. But the fact that they are now present in 26 cities, remember Oyo has been looking for markets outside India. And they've also experimented with other models, including Oyo Townhouse, which apart from really aggregating hotels, they also look at really turning properties around and launching them as their own properties. So interesting that Oyo is now eyed. China will have to wait and see what response they see, because this is a massive launch in the sense that they've launched operations in 26 cities now.
Thanks for that, Rahul. We'll have to wait and see which other country Oyo forays into, but interesting development there. Oyo marking its presence in China. But from that to an interesting story we have on the show this evening. There's a lot of buzz about EdTech as far as the startup universe is concerned, but we tell you about a university that's getting a lot of traction from the big guns of India Inc., from academia, from policymakers. We're talking about Krea University. Now, this university, it had a launch a few months back where you saw the likes of Anand Mahindra, Sajjan Jindal, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Raghuram Rajan, Cyril Shroff, a lot of top guns coming together to really talk about why a liberal arts university is much needed in India and how it's really going to help India going forward. Now, we have with us on the show Kapil Vishwanathan, who's been closely involved in the setting up of this university. He's the Vice Chairperson of the Supervisory Council of Krea, and he joins us on Startup Central. Interestingly, Kapil used to run a publishing venture out of Chennai, which he later sold. So this, in a sense, is another venture for him in the education space. Kapil, thanks so much for joining us. This had a big bang launch a few months back. You saw all the CEOs of India Inc. Coming together. From then to now, how has this progressed? And, why is this seeing so much of interest from so many powerful business leaders, from policymakers, from academia?
What we're trying to do at Krea is really to develop a new paradigm of preparedness for the future. So this is going far beyond looking to start another university. It's really about looking at things very differently and looking at what it takes to be prepared for the future. And this is a need that has resonated with many of the people we have spoken with, both thought leaders on the academic side as well as institution builders who are coming to develop this university. I think everyone understands that the world is changing at a pace that we are not able to keep pace with, and that a paradigm of preparedness for the world of the future doesn't exist today and needs to be created.
Kapil, what are the next steps going to be? When can we see the first batch commence as far as Krea is concerned?
Sure. See, the paradigm that we're talking about what we are calling interwoven learning. So it goes beyond interdisciplinarity, it goes beyond bridging the arts and the sciences to bridging thought with action, to bridging left brain with right brain, and really porous boundaries between the campus and the real world, where students aren't learning very theoretical things, but it's all how it applies to their life in the real world. And so there's been a tremendous amount of interest that we've seen for this. We are on track to begin our admissions process later this year, and our first batch of undergraduate students will be admitted from next year onwards.
Right, Kapil, we're talking about a world that's going to be increasingly driven by technology, by AI, by robotics. So why is humanity going to become so key when it comes to the future of jobs, the future of the workplace?
That's a great question. We often used to ask the question, what role is technology going to play in our lives? What role is technology going to play in humanity? But I think the question is now reversed. What role do we as in humans and humanity have to play in a world that is largely dominated by technology? And this is artificial intelligence and robotics. And really the question of human purpose and what is an individual's purpose in a society that is so tech driven and enabled. These are questions around creativity, feeling emotions and ethics. How do you teach a machine to think about ethical challenges? And these are all human elements that are increasingly essential really we are thinking of the world as an evolving balance between humans, machines and the environment. So the humanity component of that equation really needs to stay with us humans, and I think that's really the place where the coming together or interweaving of humanity and technology becomes really critical going forward.
Kapil, if you look at South India in particular, it's largely been a STEM-driven region. A lot of interest in engineering, medicine and sciences. So, do you see an appetite for liberal arts, and why now at this stage?
That's a great question. I think, especially in India, there's a great belief that, a college education should prepare you for your first job. But the rate at which things are changing, we anticipate that a person will have to re-skill themselves. And I don't mean shifting jobs, I mean entirely re-skill themselves 5 to 6 times over a career. And in that context, what is really the point of university experience leading to the first job? Because that's maybe giving you 5 years of runway, and then what happens? So we're really looking at a paradigm where students, where we create an environment where students learn to learn and continuously adapt and reinvent themselves to thrive and succeed in a world that is so rapidly changing. So that is really why somebody would look at the need for this new paradigm, and that I think is why we've got so much interest and acceptance at this stage.
Finally, Kapil, we were showing names of all the top guns of India Inc. On the channel right now. They are members of the governing council. But what challenges do they think graduates in liberal arts and sciences can solve for them in the workplace? What skills will they bring to the table?
To solve any problem in a world that is so dynamically changing, you need a combination of it's a coming together of being able to think critically and at the same time think creatively while keeping an eye on implementation and actually doing and taking decisions leading to action. So this combination of skill set and attributes is really rare to find among fresh graduates, and certainly the existing university systems where there is a focus on knowledge and accumulation of knowledge as opposed to critical thinking and problem solving does not really address that need. So I think that is one thing that I think excites all the sponsors to say that, you know, beyond doing something good for society and for the country, they have this added benefit of being able to recruit graduates from Krea for their own businesses.
Thanks so much for joining us on the show, Kapil. You know, other ventures which has found support from India Inc. from policymakers have turned out to be very successful in India, be it the ISB in Hyderabad or Ashoka University in Delhi. We have to wait and see if Krea really lives up to that billing. But on that note, thanks so much for joining us on the show. And with that, we'll take a break on this leg of Startup Central, but come back because we tell you about Myntra's foray into the wearable space, and particularly its own wearable. It's called the Blink Go. Does it really make the cut? We tell you on the other side of Startup Central. Welcome back to Startup Central, and as promised, we end the show by telling you about Myntra's foray in the wearable space. Now, they have launched a wearables platform on the site that's going to host not just Myntra's own devices, but also wearables from other third parties. But today on the show, we tell you about Blink Go, something that Myntra's launched. It's Myntra's own brand. My colleague Rahul gets you more on the features and which other wearable devices this is going to compete with. More details from Rahul.
Chandra, you're right. We have got exclusive preview access to the wearable fitness band that Myntra has launched. It's really called Blink Go. It's the first wearable smart device that Myntra has launched from its innovation lab. So this has been developed at Myntra. They've also launched a platform that will now really, drive a lot more wearable devices going ahead. So let's really unbox it before we talk about the specs. Let's see how the styling of it really works out. So in the first look of it, quite a sleek design. They are also giving you different straps for the same product to really show you how this really works. So, in terms of what it really does, it can track activity like steps, distance, calorie, sleep. They also have something that you can challenge your friends with as far as fitness goals are concerned, track your sleep, heartbeat and things like that. So all the features of a fitness band really blended into one, and the pricing of it for now at an introductory price is quite a killer, because what the normal pricing of this product is 4,119 rupees. At the introductory price during the end of reason sale, they are really giving this out for 1,679 rupees. So it's quite a killer as far as the price is concerned. We'll have to wait and see how the features really pan out, because their app is still not live on the Android or the iOS Play Store. It will be live tomorrow. So we haven't really been able to put this to test, but by the looks of it, the various specs that they have really covered, it also really will help you monitor your sleeping patterns, and you can also in fact go on to really share your fitness milestone with your friends, and they also have a multi-tracker support. So if you have the app on various phones, seamlessly you would be able to use this really. So on the face of it, it really is a sleek design, and we'll have to see how Myntra really convinces users. But at the price of 1,600 odd rupees, it really is quite a killer as far as the price point is concerned. How does this really fare up to other competitors in the space? The first obvious comparison will be with Fitbit, but that has a lot of these fitness enabled features. That is approximately priced in the 12,000 band. So as far as pricing Fitbit, but the nearest competitor that I could really find would be the Fast Track fitness band, because that comes at close to 2,000 rupees. It does monitor sleep, your other fitness goals as well. So while Myntra has really tried and bundled a lot of features that it can under this, we'll have to wait and see how the reaction from consumers is. While some of them may be willing to really spurge 1,600 odd rupees to really spend 4,000 rupees, time will really say. But for now, really a bold move by Myntra, the fact that they're now foraying into the smart devices in a big way. We'll have to wait and see how this pans out, and probably then me and you can decide if we should really be buying it.
Thanks for that, Rahul. I'm sure you'll be testing it out as well. I don't know if you will finally decide to buy it though, considering they are going to sell it at a huge discount. But remember, the wearable space is very crowded. You don't just have the premium Apple Watch and then slightly lower than that the Fitbit, but you also have Goki, you have the Mi, and you also have wearables from the Fast Track stable. So how Myntra is going to fare match up to all that? I mean, is price going to be the only clincher or other features? We'll have to wait and see, but another interesting foray by Myntra into the wearable space. But on that note, completely out of time on this edition of ET Now Startup Central. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned to ET Now for more news and updates.